This week's Freak of the Week is Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. He's becoming a regular, and this is why. In a press conference the other day, he showed the American people just how out of touch he is with the everyday American. Watch this.
Well, look, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year.
Speaker Johnson, I am so sorry. I didn't know you guys had it so bad. I had no idea how hard it was to get by on a measly $174,000 yearly salary. Congress hasn't got a pay raise since 2009, he says. Neither have the American people, dude. Housing, healthcare, education, all the basics are unaffordable because over the past 3 or 4 decades, there's been a massive transfer of wealth from the bottom half of America to the top 1%. Wages never kept up with inflation for everyday people. Yet members of Congress make minimum $174,000. You have the balls to sit here and complain about that? Do you want us to feel sympathy for you? Congress's approval rating, like as a whole unit, continues to be in the dumps. The American people do not trust our government because it is run by millionaires, billionaires, corporations, lobbyists. It's been decades since the average working American can truly say that they have it better than their parents did. And you want to sit there and ask for our sympathy because you make $174,000. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think as Speaker of the House, you get an automatic pay raise. So Mr. Johnson here makes well over $200,000 just from his salary. At the same time that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, most Americans can't afford an unexpected $400 bill, hospital or car repair. Otherwise, it would put them in debt. Medical bankruptcy is the number one type of bankruptcy in this country. People are struggling. The status quo is a plague. But no, go ahead and continue. I want to see what else you have to say.
It goes down every year. And over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a
Let me play that part again.
inflation. A member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year. And over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean,
I'm losing my mind. Did he just say that if inflation continues at the pace that it is, while not giving Congress a pay raise, that it will incentivize people from a lower income bracket, or in his view, less qualified people to run for Congress? Is he saying that people who are truly qualified to run for Congress are the people who see a $200,000 salary as not enough?
You're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, a residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy, look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to, take care of their family.
One more time there.
Look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to, take care of their family.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives from the United States of America, just said that if we're not going to give Congress a pay raise from what is already nearly $200,000, that they should at least be able to trade stocks. Because, man, $200,000 is not enough to support a family anywhere. How out of touch do you have to be to say some bullshit like this? I don't know if you know this, but if you're in Congress, if you're a member of the Senate or the House, you don't just make money from your salary. Yes, you make a generous salary, $174,000 minimum, but you also likely get lots of money from speaking engagements. You get money from books that you write. Nearly every federally elected official writes, biographies, they write books, which sell very well. Like Bernie Sanders has written books that millions of people have bought. That's potentially millions of dollars in income from books that you write. And that's not even counting the millions and millions of dollars that Congress already gets away with insider trading or just trading in general. I don't think any member of Congress should be able to trade stocks, just period. And I think a majority of Americans are on my side there. insider trading is too easy. It's way too easy for these people, and so many still get away with it. At a time when virtually every major service in this country is unaffordable for the average person, for the everyday person, housing, healthcare, education, transportation is unaffordable because wages have not kept up with inflation for the past 30 or 40 years. There's been several studies that have proved that if we had the same wages compared to the current inflation that we did just 4 decades ago or 5 decades ago, that every single person in this country would have an extra $1,100 in their bank account each month. If wages truly kept up with inflation, if that had happened, poverty would be a fraction of what it is. Health outcomes would be drastically better. The homeless population, I could go on and on how much better life for the everyday person would be if that were the case. So all of this is happening, while at the same time, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is asking for our sympathy because the starting salary as a congressperson is $174,000. And like I said, most members of Congress are already millionaires. Like, regardless of politics, like if this was a Democrat or a Republican saying this, I would be saying the same thing. This might be one of the most out of touch things that I've heard Mike Johnson say. He's been a freak of the week before. He has a couple times, I think. So he's no stranger to saying some out of pocket shit. But here we are living in an alternate reality, a reality in which the average person is still not being represented by their Congress. The minimum wage for the working class in this country, who are the backbone of our economy, who do the work, that keep our things open, that keep things running, is $7.25. Some states have lifted that up a little bit. Like Michigan was $10.57 or something like that. But the federal minimum wage for the working class in this country is $7.25, which comes out to $15,080 a year. That is laughably below the poverty line. That's like 200% below the poverty line. But the minimum salary for Congress is $174,000. And he has the balls to ask for our empathy. What a freak. Get the fuck out of here.